Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, you'll see how I set up April in my bullet journal. But first I'm going to flip through my completed pages for March. Last month I decided to do this daily doodles spread, and I really like how this one turned out. It wasn't fully completed when I filmed this, but I just did a little doodle for something I did each day, and it turned out to be a really cool page. I think this was my favorite weekly spread of March. It was just so simple while still being really visually pleasing. And this was the week that things started to get weird in the world, here in Ohio at least. This last week I set up very differently for me just because I knew I didn't have as much stuff going on daily, so I devoted an entire page of it just to a task list. And getting into the April calendar page, I chose a rainy day theme for this month, so lots of rain and umbrellas, and it turned out really cute. The whole spread is a lot more illustrative than my previous months have been so far, so I really tried to branch out and do something different this month. I think I was just feeling a little more creative since I've been kept up at home a lot more lately. I've been trying to be creative as much as possible, and this just gave me a really good opportunity to get my colors out and get a little more illustrative and kind of branch out of my comfort zone that I've been doing the past 3 months. As far as the calendar page goes, I switched up the layout that I've been doing. The last 3 months I fit the calendar onto one page, and this right side of the page I did as a list format, like a bullet format. For this month I decided to make my calendar a little bigger, so each box was a full square, and it spilled over onto the right side a little bit, but it still gave me quite enough room to keep a list for the days of the month next to it on that right page. So you can see my calendar is a little wider than it usually is, or has been for me so far. I just wanted to try something a little different and thought I'd give this a shot. And I didn't sacrifice my list completely, so I still have room on that right page to write things out in list format for the month. For all the colors in this spread, I used my Crayola Supertips. I pulled the colors that I knew I wanted to use, which you can see up at the top, and swatched them all on a paper, and that really helped me as I went throughout each page. I also used the Tombow Fudenosuke pens in the hard tip for sure. I have a soft tip too. I probably use that somewhere. And then all of the fine liners are by Sakura. They're Pigma Micron fine liners in a couple different sizes. I also used my white jelly roll pen throughout this spread, and I will make sure I list everything that I did use in the description below. I took advantage of the extra space at the top of the right-hand page to make a spot for my goals for this month. Last month, I had a page directed to goals, videos, and extra income. I took that page out for this spread, and instead I just stuck those things into other spreads, if that makes sense. So the goals fit on this front calendar page, and then whatever else I need to write down in the moment, I still will have a brain dump page for that. My next two pages are going to be my habit tracker and my mood tracker. I think my habit tracker turned out to be my favorite page of this whole spread. It's so colorful and fun and unlike anything I've done before in this journal, so I'm really excited about it, and it makes me more excited to go back and fill it out every day, which is cool. I'm also tracking different things than I have been. I think every month I've kind of switched up a couple of my habits that I wanted to track, so just whatever feels most important. My habits this month are going to be taking my vitamins, drinking enough water, flossing, doing yoga, doodling, and journaling. I live in Ohio, and we have a stay-at-home order in place through the entire month of April now, so I wanted to track some introspective type habits, which is why I added things like yoga and doodling and journaling, because I know I'll be home a lot, so those are things that I can do that I know will be good for my mental health, and I'm still able to do them in the safety of my own home. For the titles of each habit, I drew an umbrella for each one, and I'm going to write the over top of the umbrella with my black Tombow pen. And the color blocks to the right are 30 squares. So they're 15 squares across, 2 squares down. So each square I'll check off with an X or a check mark or something if I do complete that habit for that day. Here I'm adding a white shadow to the lettering with my white Jelly Roll pen. This just made them stand out so much better against the little illustrations behind them. I just love how that habit page turned out. I think it's so fun. I love the color scheme. And it's still a simple way to track the habits. I debated not doing a mood tracker for this month. I've been debating doing that every month, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do raindrops coming from a cloud, which seemed to only make sense for a mood tracker, so I decided to keep it in for this month, and we'll see if it sticks around. But I just wrote mood in a cloud at the top, and I did space out my numbering for each day of the month underneath the cloud. That way they don't get all jumbled and stuck together. There's not quite enough lines for it to be every single line, so I had to squeeze them in. And then the length of the line with the raindrop will be related to my mood. This next spread is going to be a page for daily gratitude. I did this in January and February, but I took it out for March and I decided to put it back in for April just because of the state of the world right now, and I think it's a really good idea to keep myself as positive as possible. I'm trying to really ingrain positive habits into my life right now to the best of my ability. Whatever I can control, I'm going to try to do. And I think making myself write down at least one thing that I'm grateful for each day is just a really good practice to keep when everything feels so uncertain. If you've never done a gratitude journal, I highly recommend it. It's a really nice way to focus on the positive things that happen in your day rather than the negatives. And to block off the different days, I just used my same Crayola Supertips and marked off every other square. And I love how colorful everything is for this month. I'm loving the color scheme. This is actually my last spread for April, and it is my brain dump page. I find them very useful. I use them every month. So this one is pretty simple. I just drew an umbrella and I wrote brain dump in that same colorful lettering I've been doing. Next, I set up my first weekly spread of April. I don't think I've ever shown my weekly spreads here on YouTube, at least not setting them up. I've shown them in the flip throughs, but I decided to do this all at the same time this time. So this one is pretty fun. I did a Dutch door. I've never done that before. You'll see what I mean in a second if you don't know already. I split each page into halves vertically. So on the left half of this page, I'm writing what week it is, which is week 14. I added a small calendar and highlighted the week that it is. And then I put a small quote on the bottom. My quote says, "Some people feel the rain, others just get wet." For the days of the week, I drew some umbrellas in the corner of each square, and that's where I'm going to be writing the number of the date on top of each umbrella, and then writing out the day of the week next to it at the top of each square. And then to give myself some extra space, I cut this next page in half and I rounded off the corners here with my scissors. But then I continued my boxes on the back half of this, what they call a Dutch door for whatever reason. But this little half page. So I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the front, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the back, and this last box is going to be for next week things to jot down. And then the last half of the page on the right will be my running task list for the whole week. So whichever way that little middle flap is turned, you can see that task list. I'm not sure if you can tell, but when I originally set this spread up, I did totally mess up and draw my first two boxes too wide. They're one square too wide. And I had to go back in with my white gel pen and white out that line and redraw the square a little bit skinnier. And that is it. Here's my final flip through of all my new April pages. I hope you guys are staying safe and sound and staying at home if you can. I know it's weird to plan for such an uncertain month, but planning really soothes me and drawing really soothes me, so this was really fun to do, and we'll see how well I keep up with it this month. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!